What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and in this video we are going to take a look at my first game with the brand new The Fates. Recently updated. Now it only gives your upgraded heroes +3/+3, but has a brand new mechanic associated with it where the first character that you buy is destined to upgrade, which is really cool and definitely plays into the Fates angle. And it works really well with 3 blind mice because it guarantees that you'll be able to find a tier 4 treasure. It's kind of interesting to see the eeny meeny here, and I kind of wanted to experiment with that, but I'll play around with that on a game where I don't get 3 blind mice offered in the first shop as the Fates, because that's just going to be really good. We see that Horde Dragon also wants to try to find an upgraded treasure, but here's how the Fates works. You see this 3 blind mice just appears as an extra unit in your shop, and then interestingly, I learn right now that when you roll, you don't see another one. So it's just that first shop at the turn puts an extra unit in an extra slot that it creates in the shop to the right of the spell. So interesting stuff there. I'm always trying to kind of figure out mechanics, and we'll actually look a little bit more at some Fates mechanics at the end of this video. So stick around after this game is over. I'm going to look at one more of my early Fates games. But next turn already, we are gearing up to get a tier 4 treasure, which just makes Fates a lot of fun and honestly pretty powerful. We get to grab a tier 4 treasure right now on turn 2.2. Pretty sweet. And Sky Castle, a brand new treasure. You know, I gotta try it out. So interestingly, grabbing an early Sky Castle, I think, is very good. But more than that, grabbing Sky Castle on the Fates, where we get to give all of our upgraded units +3/+3, works out even better. And now with this early Sky Castle, kind of tailoring the Sky Castle, or tailoring our game around it, we're going to know to pick up princesses and princes when we are in level 3, potentially some experience as well, and then we'll move right into grabbing Prince Arthur's. And while this game is pretty straightforward, I think it's going to be a pretty common strategy on the Fates for having similar mid-tier success that this game can bring. The princesses and princes I talked about in my patch review looking over Sky Castle, it's not going to quite have the same ceiling as Dwarven Forge, but that mid-game is certainly going to be a lot more powerful, and there's also still a lot of high roll potential too. Interestingly, questing princess, or brave princess rather, is not super great with the Fates, and we also get a weird shop here where we see all 3 drops, so we'll only get to purchase 1 unit, though the fact that we find this forbidden fruit does mean that we get to purchase another egg, and I think that overall, taking 2 damage to purchase an egg probably does save us some health. Up against Geppetto, and they also are looking for 3 blind mice, so everybody in this lobby is looking for some mice, and we can see that the Humpty Dumpty doesn't actually save us any health. Oh wait, actually it does. Yeah, because they're Geppetto, so they summon a black cat. So that Humpty Dumpty saved us, or the forbidden fruit saved us 4 damage, so definitely worthwhile there. Here I can take a Sherwood Sure Shot and an Ogre Princess. Not super high impact, but I'll take any princesses and princes that we can get. And one thing that is kind of interesting with princesses and princes is if you compare them to dwarves and you compare them to animals. Dwarves used to have Dwarven Forge, and then animals obviously still have Wonder Waddle. There are a lot more 3s for princesses and princes to be able to try to triple in level 3. And then there's the same amount of tier 2s that dwarves have access to, but a bunch more 3s. Dwarves only have 2 tier 3 units. They've got Lucky and Doubly, in addition to Princess White, which doesn't necessarily work with Dwarven Forge. But then princesses and princes, what do they have? They've got Princess Peep, Ogre Princess, Romeo, Brave doesn't really count, and there must be one more that I'm forgetting. And then they still have 2 that cost 2, not including any questing units, of course, which are all princesses and princes. We can see that this Horde Dragon did find the 3 blind mice and was able to pick up a tier 5 treasure, and Helm of the Ugly Gosling landed on doubly. So they got pretty lucky against us. I'm not going to be too upset with that combat. My opponent just wound up getting a little bit lucky. Now, similar to Wonder Waddle, I'm going to assume that we're going to get a bunch of tier 2 treasures and just a bunch of treasures overall, and I'm going to skip pretty aggressively. Though this is my first time playing with Sky Castle, so, your mileage may vary. And a little bit awkward here that we don't have nearly enough coin to buy the Sleeping Princess and flip it with the Potion of Heroism. So I'll probably just take Lonely Prince, though I'm not super excited to do so. We've got Sky Castle. We're going into 4.0, which means I don't want to lock this shop or really care about what's in this shop. I just want to try to find Prince Arthur's when we level up, and for that reason, I actually just take another Humpty Dumpty. And I kind of just went over the reason for it, but basically, I think that the Humpty Dumpty could potentially save us some health yet again, and I want to focus on Arthur's once we hit the next level and not have to worry about any of these other potential units for us. And we'll see if that winds up being a mistake or reasonable. But we are going to be up against a player with Romeo plus Juliet this turn. So pretty awkward. We are going to take a little bit of damage from this fight just because Romeo plus... Actually, we take out their Romeo before we take out their Juliet. So we only take 4 damage from their 0 attack creeper. Honestly, not that bad. And I guess the egg windup did saving us some health in the long run. Would have liked to take either this Lonely Prince or the Sleeping Princess, but not going to go for them. I am going to go for Juliet. I feel like that is a reasonable pickup, and then I just decide to roll rather than go for that Mix-a-Whizzle, and I go for a lock on this one. It's got a reasonable spread of units getting to pick up a Lonely Prince, and I don't want to just spend all of my gold rolling and not doing anything. I do think it's somewhat important to remind you the fact this is my first game on this new The Fates and my first game playing with this Sky Castle, so it's a little bit experimental in terms of what I am able to put together, what I'm trying to figure out, and we're still learning everything here with the new patch. This was played on the second day of the patch, most of the videos that I recorded, so still figuring stuff out and not doing too bad. We're going to take a little bit of damage, but if we can hit this hippo... Okay, so we take 6 damage down to 18. But you know what? Going down to 18 is actually pretty cool. And that means that we can actually find Gingerbread Prince now, too. So that is kind of interesting as well. I'll take Eye of Ares because we've got Princess Peep, and I'm just trying to not die. And then I'll roll and find a Prince Arthur and a Romeo. And I really want this Prince Arthur as soon as possible, but I'd also really like to pick up this Romeo for this turn, potentially. I want to pick up one of these 2 things this turn. So I'm either going to sell 2 units and pick up Romeo, or sell 3 units, play down a unit, and pick up Arthur, so that way it can start pumping my Ogre Princess and my Sherwood Sure Shot. We're going to say goodbye to the Blind Mouse, and I think I'm just going to pick up Arthur. If I hadn't picked up both of the Frog Prince and the Sherwood Sure Shot, I could have picked up the Arthur this turn, so maybe that is a little bit of a mistake, but hopefully it all works out here. Eye of Ares, pretty good on my double ranged unit, plus I've got 4 summons, so hopefully we can make a little bit more use out of Eye of Ares than our opponents. And then next turn we'll be able to pick up Prince Arthur, start looking for more Arthur, still looking for Romeo and Juliet. One of the reasons that I brought up how many 3s there are is I do think that there is the potential to backdoor into Hatball when you've got Sky Castle, and there is kind of an interesting strategy there. What winds up being a little bit weird with that is compared to Wonder Waddle, you don't have any. You don't get to double your Wizard's Familiars super easily. So you do have to pay full price for those, but you can still potentially make some good stuff happen. But that's not what I'm going to go for this game. I'm just going to go, especially on the Fates, just go for this Royals build. And I'll pick up another Lonely Prince here. Was thinking I was just going to roll, but Book of Heroes, I mean, we're playing all good units. Might as well try to make it work. And yeah, that could certainly be reasonable for us. And then I'm just going to roll. The main reason I was considering skipping as well is because we are on 4.2. So this is, I won't say our last chance to find Prince Arthur, but this is our best chance to find Prince Arthur, and it's worth on these pre-level up turns, especially when you are playing Prince Arthur, or sometimes on 5.0 when you're like playing Trophy Hunter and looking for Baba Yagas, or not 5.0, 5.2. It's good to try to find the units that you really need before the shop gets a little bit more diluted. No tier 5 units are going to be anything that Sky Castle cares about, because all royals are tiers 2, 3, and 4, other than Lancelot and Hercules, which are questing units. They're not something that you can Sky Castle. So that's kind of the idea behind re-rolling a little bit there. And interestingly, my opponent is playing all evils. So decent chances here for the Book of Heroes to make work, but they also have a doubled up Sark. So we are going to be taking a ton of Sark triggers as well, unfortunately. But we do walk out of here with a few extra stats from the Book of Heroes. So not too shabby, but down to 13 life. We have to stabilize now. And speaking of stabilizing with less life points, here is the Gingerbread Knight. But we do see it's already kind of smaller than the Frog Prince. So I don't think I want it. I think I just want to try to roll for Prince Arthur's. I will take Romeo, though. That is a really good one. And then we'll just be skipping the treasures. I like the treasures that we have for now. And our gold is just best spent trying to find some more Arthurs. So that's the plan. I'll roll, and I don't find an Arthur, but I do find a Juliet, which that can definitely get us something good. We can toss the Eye of Ares for Reduplicator or Coin of Sharon, or, honestly, Fool's Gold has play here too. We are really low, so I am a little bit hesitant to do the Fool's Gold, but it's also got some play to it because we are going to see, like, the goal is to triple a bunch of tier 4 units. Eventually, I do want Coin of Sharon and I want Reduplicator, but Fool's Gold could certainly be a reasonable pickup as well. But I'm going to go for Reduplicator, which is just the best stats for the current board, and hopefully that can get us somewhere. Interestingly, we are playing up against another opponent running a full Evils comp, so we are going to get some nice Book of Heroes value as well. And we would have got Coin of Sharon onto the Juliet, but no matter here. Hopefully we can get a few more stats and walk away. Oh, that's right, we got the Reduplicator. So yeah, we should be doing good. And we aren't going to be getting any more book triggers, but we are going to be getting a win. So that's pretty nice. We'll take out the Cursed King. And yeah, just going to continue to look for Prince Arthur's. Pretty straightforward stuff. And, excuse me. Nothing too crazy going on here. Though we do have the option to pick up Court Wizards. That's pretty tempting. Obviously, they don't work with Sky Castle, but they do work with Book of Heroes, so I am going to go for the Court Wizards. I think that there's basically two ways that the Royals comp can wind up being played. you either just get a bunch of Arthurs and just play a bunch of really big units and really scale your board, or you find the Court Wizards and you play something that's a little bit more synergistic with Court Wizards and then Good Boys eventually into the late game. So I think we're going to try to play out this Court Wizard strategy. I mean, the pair of Court Wizards there seemed pretty tempting. We also have a lot of opponents that are making us or allowing us to make use out of the Book of Heroes. So if we can get some Book of Heroes triggers onto these Court Wizards, then they can really start to scale and really do some work for us. So that is also the plan. And Geppetto, generally with some summons, is going to be something that the Court Wizards do get to trigger against. So that could work out nicely for us. Juliet is going to die. Now, hopefully these Court Wizards can get some nice slays. They do. And the Frog Prince also gets some slays himself. And, yeah, pretty sweet stuff. And now we just want to hit this Sporko in the back, though I guess we got to get through these sheep first and foremost. But yeah, the Court Wizards potentially going to get some nice triggers on themselves throughout this combat, and they will get to finish it off and get one more Book of Heroes trigger as we take out Geppetto as well. There's always something interesting when you are the one in the lobby that is actually killing people. Obviously, one other of our opponents died, but we've taken out 2 of these 3 opponents, which is pretty good. We can see that the Celestial Tiger has begun to lose some games at this point, and I think we are only getting stronger because of Prince Arthur, but I would have definitely liked to have found another one by now so that we could have really been scaling our board, because we kind of did fall off a little bit into this stage of the game. We are going to find one more Prince Arthur, so I'll lock that for this turn. Hopefully with that, we can get like a Coin of Sharon, probably replace the Sky Castle at this point. I think we're done with it, and then look for Good Boys. And we can see that this Galahad is the one that has been taking a bunch of our Prince Arthurs, and they probably had a Sky Castle earlier. Sky Castle Galahad does seem like a really cool combination, similarly to Sky Castle Dwarven Forge, or Galahad Dwarven Forge was previously. So I think that, yeah, Galahad can definitely make good use of that treasure, and we are going to potentially take some damage, though we're looking okay. This is a really close one. It's going to come down to their Juliets, and both of our Juliets being about the same size here means that we only take 8 damage down to 5. So not like the worst place in the world to be, but that Galahad, certainly big and a little bit annoying that they're taking some of the units that we want, but that's going to happen, especially on a new patch as well. Could just take Deck of Many Things. It's certainly not as good as Coin of Sharon, but I don't think that we're really going to be making too much use of the Sky Castle at this point in the game. We could replace the Frog Prince, but we probably want to replace that Frog Prince with the Good Boy, and it seems unlikely that we're going to find too many more Prince Arthurs to add to the board. So I'll just give this a nice little roll down. One thing that would be interesting is if we'd be able to pick up a Court Wizard, but like we'd then potentially be playing down a unit. Oh, that's right. I totally forgot that I went for that this game. I go for locking an Aeon, and casting the Mix-a-Wizzle there is even a little bit questionable, but basically, Court Wizards are mages. So Aeon is an interesting way to pump up both of our Court Wizards and basically get an additional treasure type of thing that allows us to scale the board, because basically we've already got 7 units here, so it's going to be tough to get any more stats onto this board. One of the ways that we're going to get stats is at this point by purchasing some spells, and Aeon can allow us to get a few more stats onto our Court Wizard in that way. So pretty interesting strategy that we go for here. I know that there are a few players that really, really like Aeon Court Wizard. It's not the most powerful thing in the game, but sometimes there are some ways to really gain a lot of advantage out of it. So interestingly, though, I could have also kept that Mix-a-Wizzle in the shop, which then would have been an additional spell trigger onto all of our Court Wizards. I go for Luna's Grace. I feel like that is good enough. We're up against this Celestial Tiger who is going to be firing off Sark triggers, so I do want to put a little bit of additional stats on that Court Wizard just so that it doesn't die to a single Sark trigger. And then this time I'm going to be locking the Mix-a-Wizzle just because it is a spell that we can use to grow our Court Wizard. So that is the whole idea here. We really need to get these Court Wizards bigger. One of the ways is going to be from the Book of Heroes, and then the other way is going to be from Aeon. So that is the plan that we go for. Juliet gets scammed, which is really, really unfortunate. And then both Sark triggers hit my Court Wizard, which is also just quite unfortunate. And then Frog Prince and our, well, everything's just getting taken out by court triggers, but it doesn't matter because we still win. So a lot happened in that combat, and I was mispronouncing the names of some of the cards, but Ancient Sark killed our Sherwood Sure Shot, and it killed our Frog Prince, which meant that our Court Wizards didn't get bonus attacks, and then also our Court Wizards died to Sark triggers. But despite everything going wrong, we still found a win in that combat, which is pretty sweet. Spinning Gold, definitely something that I consider, and I think I wind up regretting not casting that Spinning Gold because I don't really find anything else. At this point, it'd be tough to put a Prince Arthur on the board because it just doesn't have too many stats. And then, I actually do wind up finding a Toil and Trouble. So interestingly, one of the reasons that this Court Wizard Aeon strategy works is because I have two separate Court Wizards. If I just had one combined Court Wizard, then I wouldn't be getting nearly as much stats every time I cast a spell. So I probably am going to just be keeping these Court Wizards separate so that Aeon can get a little bit more stats on them. And we'll see by the end of the game if that winds up being relevant. I don't even think they got to attack last combat, so it certainly wasn't relevant in that one, but maybe we'll pay attention and see if like the additional +2 or 3 attack that they have. I guess they both have +3 attack from Aeon, so we'll see if that is relevant now. At any part of this combat. Well, one's going to turn into a pig, so that's going to make it a little bit tough to be relevant, and then the other one attacks into quite a huge monster. No, not really relevant. Not relevant there either. Yeah, it doesn't actually do anything, though that does. The fact that that Court Wizard was then able to attack twice, that was actually relevant. So Aeon has already paid out for us. Not sure if it would have won or if we would have lost the combat otherwise, but it did at least help it get a Book of Heroes trigger, so then it starts to get even bigger on top of being bigger. So certainly relevant to an extent, and we are just kind of scrapping our way through. Burning Palm +4 attack is probably worth it. It's probably a pretty reasonable spell to cast on a Court Wizard just because every point matters, and like I just showed, like getting some hits on them can potentially allow them to slay with Book of Heroes as well, and then they're getting even bigger. So that's kind of the plan there with the Burning Palm. Not sure. Okay, well, I was going to say not sure what else we're looking for, but I guess a Good Boy is it. Though, yeah, I mean, you look at this combat and like we wouldn't be able to put any extra stats on the Good Boy, so it is a little bit awkward in that capacity. Decide to buy and sell a unit so that way we can lock the Court Wizard, though I am considering not even wanting to do that. because it's not the most stellar thing. But if we can pick up the Court Wizard, it will get +3/+3 from the Fates, and then we could potentially find a Coin of Sharon, which does give us a way to actually make Good Boy work, because right now the Good Boy would not be good enough. And here is another player with a Good Boy, so they're going to be doing some pretty nice things here, this Horde Dragon. Do we have enough stats to take them out? I'm not sure that we do. Their Echo Wood is really, really large in the back. That might be enough to do us in, unfortunately. But we are going to get some Court Wizard attacks, so maybe that's nice. And Cupid isn't that great against us because we have all ranged units. We are going to get some Court Wizard triggers there, but yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to break through this Echo Wood, so that is going to spell defeat for us, unfortunately. But I still wanted to show this game off. I thought it was a sweet one just to take a look at Fates on Sky Castle. I wanted to highlight some key moments in another Fates game that I played recently. Happy Little Tree is definitely an option that you could run on the Fates, but with that Forbidden Fruit, I feel like it's okay to roll. And I roll into a Lonely Prince plus a Sherwood Sure Shot. Now, normally I would be tempted to take the Sherwood Sure Shot, but because we are the Fates, we have to pay attention to which unit we buy first. Normally, I would buy and sell the chicken, then buy the Sure Shot, and then lock the Lonely Prince that turned into a Frog Prince. But in this case, we do have to buy the Lonely Prince, so we do take some damage. Would have taken that either way, but winds up being fine. Now we are going to be able to complete some Lonely Princes, and one of the reasons that I wanted to take a look at this game is because there's some interesting mechanics going on, and this kind of really helped me learn about exactly what is going on with the Fates hero power, and might help you figure out some cool things that you can do with it as well. So up against Geppetto, we've got a 5/5, feel pretty confident here, and hopefully we can stop taking damage. And then we get to pick up another 5/5 next turn. We can see Geppetto also on the Lonely Prince strategy, but we are going to beat them to it. So here's the interesting thing. Two interesting things happen right now. One is that another Frog Prince shows up in this shop. Two of them, both from the Fates hero power, because we locked one and then another one winds up showing up. The other interesting thing is that it is not a Lonely Prince that shows up in the shop. We flipped one of these Frog Princes. The other one showed up from the Fates hero power, and that is really important to note. It is something that I was a little bit aware of already, but basically, whenever you transform whatever you get with the Fates, be that with a Polywoggle or with a transformation like this, Frog Prince, or True Love's Kiss, or potentially some other weird stuff that could happen later on in the game, or Shard of the Ice Queen, potentially. That is going to impact what the Fates is drawn to, and that is pretty interesting, and it's also kind of cool that we have all of these extra Frog Princes in the shop. We're going to get another one this turn, so I kind of want to lock it, and I want to see if we can't cheese out like a second Frog Prince. Basically, I'm thinking I could buy and sell this Bad Billy, use this Forbidden Fruit, and then just buy both of these dwarves. And then next turn, we'll wind up getting 3 Frog Princes in the shop, and we'll have 6 gold to purchase them all, plus potentially Lucky could land on one of them. I haven't quite figured out, because the roll the dice did not land on either Frog Prince, and I don't believe that this Lucky lands on either Frog Prince either. So that's kind of an interesting thing that I'm still kind of testing those mechanics out. But this is a really, really interesting mechanic for the Fates, and I'll circle back on that in a moment. But first off, let's just see what happens in this combat. Sherwood Sure Shot going to be able to do some nice work, and then we've got this Black Cat plus Mad Mim combo. So it does look like we are going to be walking out of this one with a win, though it gets actually really close. Oh, we actually get a loss. Okay, I think we were pretty likely to win this combat, but that is a little bit unfortunate. Oh, I guess we're... yeah, it says we're 50% to lose. So there you go. Now we see we've got 3 Frog Princes in the shop. None of them got the lucky bonus. I would kind of like to do it one more turn. That would give us 2 upgraded Frog Princes. But there's just not enough else to do in the shop with my gold this turn, so I do think I just have to go ahead and cash in my fates now. And Book of Heroes is pretty good. We've got a bunch of good units already, plus we get to pick up 2 more Frog Princes here, and this isn't a Sky Castle start, but you can tell that it obviously pushes us into Royals. So let's jump ahead a little bit. Gonna zoom through some of the game. We find some Royals, then we get into tier 4 with this board and wind up playing against an evil Potion Master that gets us a few more stats on our board, but I think we wind up just barely... Oh no, we win this fight actually. Nice. So we get some nice Book of Heroes triggers in this one, and then we are on to 4.0. Not quite in Gingerbread Knight range, but potentially want Romeo, potentially also just want to find some Prince Arthurs, though I do feel like I have to take this Court Wizard with the fact that we already have the Book of Heroes too. That just winds up being really good for us. And then gonna roll for Arthur's, but then I actually find another Court Wizard. I will take the Sherwood Sure Shot first, and we find the Hermes Boots. So it's not the best pickup for us, but it's probably better than Lock Chest. So I'll grab Hermes Boots. Maybe we can do something with that a little bit down the line. It's kind of anti-synergistic with Court Wizard because it means that we attack more, so we're less likely to get attacked into, but the rest of this board is reasonable for us. So let's guess we can see how this one pans out. I get a few Book of Heroes triggers from my opponent's Wolf in sheep's clothing. Don't quite get the stag to attack. Oh, I do get the stag to attack. Okay, it just took a little bit. But that is going to allow us to do some nice work here. We do have all ranged units, but this looks like a tough fight. Wow, okay, that was a really good hit for us, for them to hit into my Frog Prince, and that is going to allow us to win and take out my opponent's Prize Pig. My opponent with Prize Pig, Fool's Gold, and Staff of the Old Toad there, so definitely a scary opponent. We do see Juliet here, and I believe this is the turn that I wind up tripling my Court Wizards, but I do take the Juliet as well. Romeo plus Juliet, just so good with Court Wizards. But I do think I was... Oh yeah, I actually locked that shop for the Nutcracker and then wound up not purchasing it. So kind of interesting there too. And then I do find a Prince Arthur. I do think that I have to take this one, so I'll sell these 2 units that I'm not using, purchasing this Prince Arthur. Could potentially consider the XP, though we kind of wind up in a similar Royals comp. What winds up happening now after we defeat this Sharebear is I find a Sky Castle by tripling my Court Wizards, and then from there go into a pretty similar Royals comp to the last one. Yeah, there we go. There is the Court Wizard trigger. Like I said, just kind of trying to zoom through this game. Unfortunately, this game, I don't find really anything to do with this Sky Castle. I do find another Romeo. I don't even think I find like another Juliet or another Arthur, like ever. Let's see, maybe I find a Juliet. No, yeah, this is the one where I just don't find Juliet, and I basically just spend the whole game rolling and not finding anything until tier 6, where I eventually find a good boy, and we will put that in if we can combine Juliet or Arthur and find a Coin of Sharon, because then we have Boots plus Coin of Sharon plus Good Boy, so that's kind of a combo, and that's what we wind up building towards. But ultimately, Oh yeah, and we find an upgrade too. Oh, we actually find the upgrade before we find the Coin of Sharon. So that's kind of funny, but ultimately this game just falls a little bit flat. We do get to play against the Ghost and get Book of Heroes triggers on our good boy, so that is a little bit of something. And then we also get some additional just Court Wizard hits on some evil units against this evil player right here. But yeah, kind of a weird one, and not just a little bit unlucky being unable to find the Juliets and the Arthurs. And I believe this turn, this is the final turn of the game. I'll let this one play out, but basically we combine the Arthur, and that is going to give us Coin of Sharon. We can toss the Sky Castle at this point. A little bit too late. It would have been nice if we've had the Coin of Sharon this whole time. Then we would have had a bunch more stats, but just a little bit unlucky with this one. Basically picked up the Sky Castle and then proceeded to do nothing. I do think that the Echo Wood is probably worth playing here as well, because we are going to give a bunch of stats on everything with the good boy. So I'll sell the Golden Chicken, sell the Frog Prince, and pick up this Echo Wood. One thing that's interesting here is I could potentially frontline the Echo Wood. We do have first attack with good boy. That's going to get plus 12, plus 12, or it's going to get plus 4, and then it's going to give everything on the board plus 12, plus 13. I'm sorry. It's going to give everything on the board plus 24, plus 26. There's me just checking out the Pied Piper's comp again, but everything getting plus 24, plus 26 is basically going to mean that the Echo Wood winds up going into about the hundreds, and I get a pretty nice spell there off of the Blessing of Athena, because +1/+1 on good boy is then going to be plus 2/2 on everything else. So not a horrible spell. Our Romeo does wind up getting attacked in the front row, so honestly probably should have just put the Echo Wood. But basically I was afraid that maybe the good boy would attack and not die against whatever it attacked into. I think that was one of my concerns. No, everything that they have is too big. Yeah, unfortunately, just the Romeo is going to get targeted before the Juliet does, and we lose out on a summon there. But we don't really have that much stats. But you can see if we just had like a few more turns, we would have been able to deal with potentially what my opponent's got going on here. Though they are making some rather large units, so it would have been a little bit tough. I think that we still potentially had it, but we are going to fall a little bit short. But one thing that is really interesting about this game is part of the discovery process in the beginning. And I will go back and take a look at that in a second now that we have lost second place. Actually a better performance in this game than the main game of this video. But this turn really got some gears spinning for me, right? And in the first video, we wound up using the first game in this video, we wind up using the blind mouse as our fates target. And this kind of got my gears spinning a little bit. What if you lock your blind mice a few times and are then able to find more tier 4 treasures? It's going to give you more shots at Sky Castle, or potentially more shots at some other sweet treasure combinations. So that is going to be Tuesday's video, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. That one is going to be a lot of fun. But that is going to be it for this video. Hope you guys had some fun and enjoyed this exploration into what different things can be done with Fates on the new patch. But that is going to be it for me for this one. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.